As we close in on Election Day, it's clear that California could play a key role in determining the balance of power in Congress. And Latino voters in particular could help decide several important House races across the state. The Latino Community Foundation worked with BSP Research to poll Latino voters in 5 competitive congressional districts. Those districts are in Merced, Bakersfield, Palmdale, Palm Springs, and Fullerton. Latinos make up a significant percentage of eligible voters in all of those districts, and according to the survey, they are showing broad support for the Democratic challengers over the Republican incumbents. Joining us now to help us understand this survey is Christian Arana, the Vice President of Civic Power and Policy at the Latino Community Foundation. Christian, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We appreciate the time. Let's talk broadly here about what this survey finds here. How important are Latino voters going to be in terms of determining the balance of power in Congress this election cycle?
Well, sure, absolutely. That's a great question. I think let me just start off with a big number, right? So there are nearly 9 million eligible Latino voters here in the state of California, right? When you take our total voting block, we're more than the entire population of the state of Arizona. So that's a powerful voting block. When you break that down into the competitive congressional districts, our votes could actually tip the balance of power either for the Democrats or the Republicans, right? Currently, the Republican Party has a 4-seat majority in Congress right now. And, you know, depending on how the elections go, Latinos here in this state could make Mike Johnson the Speaker of the House yet again, or possibly Hakeem Jeffries, who's currently the Democratic leader, as the next Speaker of the House.
Yeah, I think I read there are 15 competitive House districts across the country, 5 of them right here in California. So California may not, have much of a say when it comes to the presidential race per se. There's certainly not a toss-up state, but when it comes to control of Congress, voters here in these districts especially can have an incredible amount of influence.
No, absolutely. And when you break down some of these key specific districts, you're looking at, let's say, Congressional District 13, which is the Merced area. 50% of all eligible voters in that district are Latino. The number jumps up even higher when you're looking at the district in Bakersfield. So when you zero in on all these districts, they're predominantly Latino. And so the question is whether or not candidates and campaigns are asking them for their vote. And we did ask about that in this poll, and it shows there is room for growth for everybody, right? But the fact of the matter is Speaker Johnson and Leader Jeffries were in California this past weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
If they were here, it just goes to show
that shows how important it is. I want to put up some of the results here. I want to talk about what you found when you asked some of the Latino voters in some of these districts who they're supporting. And as you said, generally speaking, you do see broad support for the Democratic challengers in these 5 different races. But what also jumped out to me is you have a lot of undecided Latino voters. I'm sure, obviously, you picked up on that, and that is going to be key here. Why do you think you have so many undecided Latino voters, and what are the key issues that are likely to sway them in one direction or another?
Well, on that point, we asked Latino voters in each of these districts what their top issues are. Overwhelmingly, the top issues are economic issues. So thinking about the cost of living, right? And quite frankly, it's the price of gas, it's the price of food. It's also housing affordability, right? A lot of people from the Bay Area now moved to the Central Valley, and they're also experiencing high rising costs there as well. The third issue is jobs in the economy. So when you take all of those issues together, and why you're seeing some of these results that you have here in front of you, people, just like Latino voters, just like any other voter, want to see what the candidates and the parties are proposing. So above, when you take the average, a little over 1 in 5 are still undecided. We're less than 3 weeks from Election Day. So if you're looking to win votes, now's the time to start talking to our community.
Beyond the economic issues, though, how much do some of these sort of hot-button social issues that are playing a big role in the presidential election? We talk about immigration, we talk about abortion. How much do those issues seem to matter to Latino voters?
Yeah, so we actually asked those same questions in the poll as well. So the question was whether or not Latino voters in these districts would support a candidate if they had a specific position on one of these issues. What we found was that if you're a candidate that is proposing a pathway to citizenship, extended child tax credits, looking at regulating artificial intelligence, because that's also a big issue in our community. If a candidate has a more progressive view on those issues, Latino voters were telling us that they would more likely vote for that candidate if if they didn't have that kind of position.
Okay, interesting. All right, so with all those undecided voters, what is the role of the Latino Community Foundation in this election? How are you trying to make sure that you have Latino voters broadly engaged here in this election and getting out to the polls?
Oh, so we started way earlier this year.
You didn't just start 3 weeks before the election?
Absolutely not. We started way earlier. So earlier this year, we invested nearly $1 million into grassroots nonprofit organizations, especially in these key districts.
Right.
You know, we often forget the mechanics of our democracy, making sure people are registered to vote, making sure that they understand what's on the ballot, how to actually vote in an election. You know, we're very proud to make those investments. And in the lead up going into election day, just making sure, you know, we're talking to viewers at home that you probably have your ballot at home. You know, don't sit on it. Make sure that you turn it in and that literally you call your family members, your coworkers. I'm going to ask you and Heather over there if you voted. Because
I was just thinking about exactly where my ballot is on the counter as you said that.
Yeah,
but you're right. I mean, everybody does have it. I mean, that's the way it works now. It shows up at your doorstep.
And that's how we want to make sure our democracy is strong at the end of the day, regardless of what your political views are. You know, we all believe in this democracy, and we want to make sure that everyone gets out there and vote.
All right, Christian Arana with the Latino Community Foundation. Appreciate you coming in.